Episode 1, Clarifying Your Vision. Welcome to the very first episode of the Giatti Glow Life Coach Series. This is episode 1 of 12 of this 3-month life coaching series. Episodes will come out every Thursday for 12 weeks. After these 12 weeks are over, I'll start a different 12-week podcast series in another wellness discipline, so make sure you stick with me. You can see a list of the coaching genres I'll cover on the About page for Giatti Glow. So why am I calling this podcast Giatti Glow? I'm calling it Giatti Glow because that's what I want for you. I want you to glow from the inside out, and my last name is Giatti, so Giatti Glow. This podcast is a bit like an actual coaching session with me. For these sessions, you'll need a couple of things, something to write with and something to write on. I'm old school, so I like a pen and paper, but your computer, phone, tablet, etc. Will work just fine too. You can also get my book, 12 Life Coach Sessions for Coaches and Individuals by Barbara Schnarr. That's my maiden name, Schnarr, Schnarr, on Amazon. So just go to Amazon, type in Barbara Schnarr Coach, and you'll see all the books available. You can get those books in paperback, hardcover, or Kindle. That book is essentially what I'm doing with this podcast. It's just that here I'm able to add a bit more color, like I do when I'm actually coaching one-on-one. There will be some opportunities in this episode for you to do some thinking about what you really want, so feel free to pause and get writing. I'll tell you when to pause, but of course you don't have to. And you can always go back anytime. In this episode, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful foundations for creating a life that feels truly fulfilling, and that is clarifying your vision. At this point, I'm not talking about like a perfect set in stone plan, but rather just figuring out what you want. What we're doing here today is taking the time to get really honest about what you want, what matters to you, and what kind of life would light you up inside and help you glow. Stick around for part 1. Part 1, why vision matters. So life without vision and direction can kind of feel like you're just drifting, right? So you wake up, you go through your day, you check everything off your task list, tick, 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 and you're just doing things you're supposed to do. But it kind of feels like there could be more, maybe. You keep busy, but it doesn't really fulfill you or satisfy you. And, honestly, a lot of us don't think about what would be filling or satisfaction to us because we're just doing our lives. And we don't realize that we are deserving or capable of more. But when you have a vision, like even a simple one, you can see things start to change. So the decisions you make and the challenges you face and even the opportunities that you take advantage of, they all start to make sense because you know where you're going, right? And you're pointed in the right direction. Successful people always have a plan. Maybe they get lucky here and there, but there is always a plan that they follow. So if you think about it like this, a basketball coach, right? They don't say to their players, just run around and, maybe try to get the ball in the basket. I don't know. Just go out there and do whatever you want. And then we're going to win the championship. It doesn't work that way. They have a plan. They have a playbook that they follow. A pilot doesn't take off in an airplane without a flight plan. In college, your professor, at the beginning of every term, they would give you a syllabus, right? That was the plan that you followed to make sure that you got what you needed out of the course, and then the professor would follow that. Planning is really important if you want to be successful. So when you decide what your vision is, we're going to make a plan to get it. Stick around for part 2. Part 2, imagining your ideal life. So let's think on this a little. Imagine your life 10 years from now. Close your eyes. Picture yourself 10 years from now. Where are you living? Who's around you? What are you doing when you wake up in the morning? How do you spend your days? Picture everything like, are you healthy? Are you happy? Do you have love in your life? Remember, this is your vision for the future. This is how you want your life to be, even if you can't see the path just yet. Your vision isn't about stuff or achievements. It's about emotions and values and the energy that you want your life to carry. If you're journaling, this is a great opportunity to pause and jot down some words that relate to how you see yourself in 10 years. You can use examples like joy, peace, adventure, connection, wealth, health, kids, city, country, stability, success. You get it. Write down whatever comes up for you and paint a picture of your life with those words. Now, you don't have to write these down. I'm not going to come to your house and check or anything. I just know that writing this kind of stuff down helps me. So this is a great place to pause if you're going to write stuff down, and we'll see you in part 3. Part 3, from vision to long-term goals. So now once you have this picture in your mind, the next step is to turn it into long-term goals, right? So maybe your vision showed you working in a career that excites you. A long-term goal could be, I want to build a business that gives me financial freedom. Maybe you pictured yourself surrounded by family. So a long-term goal could be, I want to nurture and cultivate relationships that feel loving and supportive. Maybe you saw yourself feeling strong and healthy. That could become, I want to prioritize my well-being every single day. Now, I want you to change all those I wants to I wills. I will build a business that gives me financial freedom. I will nurture and cultivate relationships that feel loving and supportive. I will prioritize my well-being every single day. It's the I wills that make it real. I wants are just sort of out there floating around, right? Changing it to I will is an important action step to kind of help stop dreaming and start doing. I can use myself as an example for this. At one point in my life, my dad had dementia and my mom had Alzheimer's. I had moved back into their house to be their live-in caregiver, and it was tough. One of the things I learned from my dad's doctor was that a lot of people think things like crossword puzzles and word searches and that kind of stuff help, but they don't actually help at all because that's just stuff you already know. If you really want to keep your brain healthy, one of the things that you need to keep doing is to keep learning new things like languages or becoming an expert in something. Well, I looked at my mom, who calls the whole internet eBay, and I'm like, there's no way she's ever going to go online and learn something. Like, she's never going to go on a phone and learn French or anything. So I decided, well, maybe she could do a workbook and maybe I could write a workbook. So I got the idea. I'm going to write workbooks to help seniors keep their brains active. Not just like activity books, but books that would actually help them keep learning new things. So awesome, right? Friends, that idea sat in my head for about 3 years before I actually did anything with it. 3 years. So when I finally changed my thinking from I'm gonna to I will, I wrote the first book. Now I have 5 of them, and I like to think that they're helping people. If I hadn't switched from the yeah, someday I'm gonna to the I will mindset, those books would just still be an idea. So now I want you to write down 5 goals that you have, big or small, and start each one with I will. When you're thinking about your goals, push away any thoughts of why they aren't possible or why they'd be too difficult or whatever. Just 5 goals, write them down with I will. So pause here if you want to write some things down, and I'll see you in part 4. Part 4, defining success and fulfillment. So let's talk about what success looks like to you. Not your parents' vision, not your employer's vision, or the people around you. What does success mean to you? But actually, let's back up a sec. Let's talk about the difference between success and fulfillment. So success we can think of it as external and measurable. So it's things like an income or a job title or a degree or a finished project, that kind of stuff. Fulfillment is internal and felt. So it's a sense of meaning or joy or peace or alignment with the things that matter to you. You can absolutely have one without the other. Someone can be successful on paper, but feel empty inside. Or someone can feel fulfilled inside and not have any huge external markers of success, right? So the goal is to not choose one over the other. We want to be well-rounded people. We want to find that sweet spot, the combination of success and fulfillment that feels right to us. So I'd like you to take out your journal or piece of paper and kind of answer these questions. And some of you aren't writing stuff down. That's okay. Some of you are. But I want you to think about these 3 questions. Number 1, when do I feel most alive? So where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? When do you feel most alive? Number 2, what moments bring me real joy? So is it big moments, or is it small routines, or is it a combination of both? What moments bring me real joy? And number 3, if time and money weren't issues, how would I spend my days? So be specific, like where would you wake up? Who are you with throughout the day? What do your evenings look like? Do you go to work? Do you not go to work? Be specific. If time and money weren't issues, how would I spend my days? So I'd like you to really think about these questions, maybe take 5 or 10 minutes. Pause if you're a writer. Actually pause if you're just going to think about them, because they're kind of important. They're going to help us going forward. And if you don't want to pause right now, that's fine too. You can always come back later. Now let's make a success and fulfillment map. I want you to take a piece of paper and make 2 columns. Label one column success and the other column fulfillment. In the success column, I want you to write down things that you or others call success. Things like jobs, job titles, income goals, achievements, diplomas, that kind of thing. And in the other column, the fulfillment column, I want you to write down things that feed your heart and soul, things that can create connections or connectivity, creativity, peace, service, things that fill your soul. Now you've got your words in the success column, your words in the fulfillment column. I want you to look for overlaps, things that appear in both columns that can work together. That's your sweet spot. So like, here's an example, right? So success, maybe earn X amount of dollars in income, be a manager, publish a book, that kind of thing. In the fulfillment column, you might have something like meaningful work, time with family, teaching others. So I want you to think about an overlap between those two. Could be build a small business that helps people and generates income to pay for some nice trips with my family. You can successfully weave those two together so you can have success and fulfillment. And I know that going towards what fulfills you can involve some huge life changes. So you don't have to jump into those all the way, all at once. You can actually do like little mini experiments, little micro experiments with going towards a life that fulfills you. So let's say you've always wondered if you could be a teacher. So maybe you could like create and lead like a 1-hour workshop. It's sort of like testing the waters with that before you go all the way. Maybe you want to be healthier, right? So, but you know that if you're like me, you're not the kind of person that can just switch everything on a dime. So maybe do like a 14-day mini routine in the morning. Like every morning for 14 days, I'm going to drink a smoothie, or I'm going to do a cool workout that I saw on YouTube. Do that every day for 14 days. Maybe you want to see if something you are really passionate about can be successful, and maybe you can turn it into a business. So create and sell a product or service as a side hustle and kind of go from there to see if you can actually turn it into your career. Treat them kind of like low stakes learning opportunities. See how you feel during and after, and then make some decisions. If you can really take those particular things and find that sweet spot of success and fulfillment. I'll see you in part 5. Part 5, creating your personal vision statement. So once you've sat with these reflections a bit, I want you to try crafting a personal vision statement. Successful businesses, they all have mission statements, right? I want you to make a vision statement. So let's use this sample template. I envision a life where I, specific aspiration, by action or method. This life is rooted in personal qualities, and it brings me feelings you want to experience. So I know that sounded a bit weird, but let's do one all together. And this is a good example. I envision a life where I run a creative business that inspires others by leading with integrity and compassion. This life is rooted in freedom, growth, and kindness, and it brings me joy every single day. Or maybe I envision a life where I live in a tropical country by moving there and having a successful digital nomad business. This life is rooted in freedom, growth, and financial freedom, and it brings me peace and tranquility every day. When you write your statement, don't overthink it, just let it flow. You can always go back and refine it later. Part 6, overcoming obstacles. So you might be thinking at this point, but look, Barb, what if I don't know what I want? Or what if I fail? Or what if I'm just like completely unrealistic about any of this? You know what? Congratulations, you're normal. Most people never even give themselves permission to like dream big because they're afraid of like judgment or failure. But to me, that's kind of stupid. It's your life. You do the big dreams and the big goals, okay? I feel like this is a good time to talk about fake obstacles. Too many people are what I call oh poor meers. The people that are like, I can't because. They just jump to the negative too quick and never give themselves a chance. Or when you're talking to them, they go right to the negative. I mean, yeah, there are genuine obstacles when you're figuring out your goals, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that go right to the negative. Either you do it yourself or people say these things to you. So like, let's say, for an example, you tell someone, I want to open a pug cafe. Okay. And the first thing out of their mouth is how you're going to fail or why it won't work or whatever. Don't get caught up in what will go wrong with every idea you have. Don't let these fake obstacles prevent you from even starting. And I want to point out something that like people who go right to the negative and try to talk you out of doing things, really think about if they actually know what they're talking about, if they're even somebody worth listening to. Because a lot of times people don't know what the heck they're talking about, but they'll try to talk you out of being successful when you know you can. I want you to be very selective about who you let influence you. Okay. Now, I'd like you to write down 3 fears or doubts you have about any vision that you have for yourself. So, like, things like, I'm not creative enough, or I don't know if I could make this actually work, that kind of stuff. I want you to write down 3 fears or doubts. And then, next to each one, I want you to write down an action that you can do to move past it. So, for example, you could have a fear that I'm not creative enough. And that action you could take would be to spend 10 minutes every day just journaling freely without any fear of judgment or anything like that. Maybe you have a doubt like, I don't know if I can make this work. Well, an action you could be would be to find someone who did make that kind of thing work and do what they did. A lot of times I am able to accomplish things because I am aware that people stupider than me have figured out how to do it. So if they can, I can. So now I want you to write one of your goals on the top of a piece of paper. Again, make 2 columns. In the left-hand column, I want you to write every obstacle that could prevent you from achieving that goal, everything. And then in the right-hand column, I want you to write down every action you could take to overcome the corresponding obstacle. So, like, here's an example. Write down something like your goal, like, I will buy a house. In the obstacle column, you could have something like, well, I don't have enough money for a down payment. In the action column, you could write, I will save up for a down payment and I'll make that a priority in my life. And I could maybe even get a second income source. An obstacle might be, I don't know where I want to live. An action could be, I will find my dream location. I'm going to do some research online and I'll be visiting some new places that might be interesting. An obstacle could be, I might not qualify for a mortgage. An action could be going to the bank and actually talking to them and figuring out what needs to be done, or if you do qualify already, and figuring out your credit and options. So you get the idea. Goal, obstacles, actions to fix them. And you can do this with all kinds of stuff. Like, want to get a pilot's license, or graduate high school with honors, or even getting better at keeping your kitchen clean. Write down your goal, do the obstacles, and then your actions that can get rid of those obstacles. Stick around for part 7. Part 7, your action plan for the week. So here's what I'd love for you to do this week. I'd like you to spend 30 minutes a day reflecting on your ideal future. Now, I can already hear this. Barb, I'm not actually in my ideal future. I don't have an extra 30 minutes a day to reflect on what I want. I get it. It's fine. This is actually quality over quantity. You don't have to do exactly 30 minutes, but if you can, that's a good amount of time. Number 2, I'd like you to write down 5 long-term goals that align with this vision, that align with what you want to do. Number 3, I'd like you to write out your personal vision statement that we talked about and place it somewhere where you'll see it all the time, like on your desk or your bathroom mirror. You see it in the morning. Tack it up to the refrigerator. Put it on the lock screen of your phone so you see it all the time. Number 4, I want you to share your vision with someone who you trust and isn't super negative. Because sometimes saying, I will do this, makes it to someone else, makes it real. Where in your head, you've gone from the I want to the I will, but when you say I will to somebody else, now you got to do it, right? So those are the things I want you to think about this week, and I will be back on Thursday with episode 2. Closing. So as we wrap up episode 1, I want to remind you that clarifying your vision isn't about getting it perfect. It's about beginning the journey, figuring out what you want to do and aligning your life to what truly matters to you. And also, your vision is a living thing. It will grow as you grow. My vision for my life at 17 wasn't what it is now. Several years later, we don't have to get into that. I want you to be gentle with yourself. I want you to celebrate the fact that you're doing this work. Like I was saying earlier, most people never stop and ask themselves what they really want. But you are, and you're setting yourself up for success. So I am so proud of you. Thank you for showing up today. Keep going, keep dreaming. And remember, you got this. You can do this. Till next time, take care and keep going towards that life that feels like yours. Giatti Glow is powered by the Life Coach Store, which is owned by me, Barb Giatti. On my website, you can find all kinds of great resources for over 20 types of wellness coaches. Check out thelifecoach.store for more information.